Welcome to Halloween season. Book Birdees presents a spooktacular Halloween special filled with creepy-licious Halloween stories. Read to you by Berlin. Beneath the Bed and Other Scary Stories. Written by Max Brallier. Illustrated by Letizia Rubecny. Table of Contents. Letter to the Reader. Beneath the bed, a hair down to my stomach, the statue, a dark and stormy night, the noise at the window. Dear reader, I like stories that are cold, dark, and surprising, just like the stories in this book. A strange box was left on my doorstep. A dead mouse sat beside it. Here's what I found inside: a tree branch, a doll's eye, a piece of an old quilt, a toy's rusty head. There was also a note in the box. This note was taped to it. Promise me, Mr. Shivers, that you will share the stories inside this book. So this book is my promise. I pass these stories to you, and I hope you like scary stories, because these stories will make you shiver. Mr. Shivers. Beneath the bed. Kids at school said the old house on the hill was full of ghosts. The kids dared me to visit the house. They dared me to visit at night. They dared me to visit every room. I begged my sister Beth to go with me. After I asked 5 times, she said, "Okay." Beth and I walked up to the house. The wind howled. Beth said, "John, I'm scared." "Me too," I said. "But if we don't do this, the kids at school will say we're scaredy cats." We walked up the porch steps. The wood moaned like it was warning us to stop. The house felt alive. I pushed open the door. We took deep breaths. "Come on," I said as we stepped inside. In the kitchen, dusty dishes sat on the table. In the living room, a sofa was covered with a sheet. In the library, a book sat open like it was waiting for a reader. There was only one room left to visit, the attic. Beth and I went up, up, up. The bedroom was cold and damp and dark. I gasped. 2 tiny lights glowed beneath the bed. Beth grabbed my hand. "Those lights look like eyes," she whispered. A chain hung from the ceiling. My hand shook as I tugged it. Click! Light filled the room. A doll sat beneath the bed. Beth giggled. "They are eyes." "They are only the small painted eyes on an old doll." "There are no ghosts in this house," I said, smiling. "That is right," the doll said. "It is just the 3 of us." A hair down to my stomach. When I woke up, my throat was scratchy. There was a hair in my throat. It felt like it went all the way down to my stomach. I ran to my mother's room. "Mother," I said, "there's a hair in my throat." My mother looked inside my mouth. "I see it," she said. "There's a hair all the way down to your stomach." My mother tried to pull the hair out, but she was not able. She told me not to worry. She said it would go away. But it did not go away. Days went by. My throat was very scratchy. It felt sick in my belly. My mother took me to the doctor. I opened wide and said, "Ah!" The doctor said, "I see the problem. There is a hair all the way down to your stomach." She reached into my mouth. She felt around. I have the hair," the doctor said at last. She pulled and pulled, but what she pulled out was not a hair. It was a mouse. "You should not sleep with your mouth open," the doctor said. "This mouse crawled all the way down to your stomach." The statue. I was at a yard sale with my mom. She was looking at a creepy statue of a man. The statue stood as big as a real man. The man's lips were pressed tight together in a frown, like he was cold. A tattered quilt was wrapped around the statue. The quilt was full of holes. I didn't like the quilt. It smelled old. "Never take the quilt off the statue," a voice said in my ear. I jumped. The lady who ran the yard sale stood behind me. She was dressed like a witch. My skin prickled. An icy breeze swept across the yard. Suddenly, I felt very cold. "Mom," I said, "don't buy that statue." But my mom bought the statue. The lady threw in the quilt for free. At home, my mom placed the statue in our living room. The statue and the quilt gave me the creeps. I ran up to my room to get away from them, but I could not stop thinking about the smelly quilt. I could smell it all the way upstairs. Later that night, I tiptoed downstairs. I marched up to the statue and yanked off the quilt. I ran outside and threw it in the trash. Then I went back to bed. I pulled my warm blanket up to my chin. I wasn't asleep for long. I woke up cold. My teeth were chattering. I looked around. My blanket was gone. The yard sale lady's warning raced through my head. "Never take the quilt off the statue." I rushed downstairs. My warm blanket was wrapped around the statue, and now the statue was smiling. A dark, stormy night. Oliver always left his toys outside. On Saturday, Oliver's dad said, "Bring in your toys before bed." Oliver said, "I will, Dad." But Oliver forgot. It rained and Mighty Joe got wet. Now Mighty Joe was rusty. On Sunday, Oliver's mom said, "Bring in your toys before bed." Oliver said, "I will, Mom." But Oliver forgot. A cat came into the yard and chewed on Buddy Bear. Now, Buddy was a one-eyed bear. On Monday, Oliver was sound asleep when the sound of thunder woke him up. Rain pounded against his window. Lightning lit up his room. Oliver's heart raced. "Oh no," he said. "I left my toys outside again." Oliver rushed to his window. He looked outside, but the toys were not there. Just then, the bedroom door creaked open. Oliver's toys stood in the doorway. They looked wet and angry. Buddy's one eye glared at him. Oliver scrambled back on his bed. "I'm sorry," he cried. "It's too late for that," Mighty Joe yelled. "You left us out in the rain for the last time." The toys slowly marched toward Oliver. Then the bedroom door slammed shut. The noise at the window. My family moved to an old red house. The house sat in the middle of a field. It looked lonely. My new room smelled like dust and cobwebs. Our first night in the house, my mother and father tucked me in. "Sweet dreams, Lucy," they said. I pulled the blankets close and shut my eyes tight. Then I heard a noise. Scream, scream. Ah! I yelled. The noise stopped. My father rushed into my room. Somebody was clawing at my window, I told him.
Lucy,
He said with a sigh.
you only heard branches scraping against the glass.
Oh, okay. I pulled my blankets closer. I shut my eyes tighter. I began to drift to sleep when... Scream! Scream! Ah! I yelled. The noise stopped. My mother flung open the door. Somebody was clawing at my window, I told her. Lucy, she said with a sigh, you only heard branches scraping against the glass. Okay, I said softly. I pulled my blankets even closer. I shut my eyes even tighter. Finally, I fell asleep. In the morning, my bedroom was bright and sunny. I heard birds chirping outside. I remembered the tree that had scared me the night before. I rushed to my window, then I froze. There was no tree outside my window. There were no trees near the house at all. But there were scratches across the window, and I could feel them on the inside of the glass. The end. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Tap the bell to be notified for new video uploads. Thanks for watching and joining me on my reading adventures. Have a safe and happy Halloween. And see you next time on Book Birdies.